I know I've waited a little while to get to what we're talking about today, but there's just been so much going on in the NFL and then with the NBA starting up, and we have the James Harden situation going on in Houston. We had the holidays that I just haven't had the time until now to get to Giannis. Now, I'll just say it. I was wrong about Giannis. If you've been following me on the channel for a while, then you know that I have been saying for about a year now that I thought Giannis had 1 foot out the door in Milwaukee. A player of his caliber, winning in the regular season, personal accolades, they don't mean anything. Now, sure, it's great on Giannis's resume that he is a two-time league MVP. That's great. But in the NBA, superstar players, they're not judged by the number of MVP awards that they've won. They aren't judged by how many games they win in the regular season. I don't care if you go 82-0. It doesn't matter. The Golden State Warriors a few years ago, they went 73-9. Do you know what we remember about that season? Them giving up a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals to LeBron and the Cavs. That's what we remember. We judge superstar level players in the NBA by one thing and one thing only: championships. That's it. When someone mentions Charles Barkley in conversation, what is one of the first things that comes to your mind? He never won a title. He never won one. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats, but there is a big blemish on Charles Barkley's legacy, and that's he never won a title. There is a short time span for a superstar in the NBA to win a championship. Realistically, they've got about 7-8 years to get it done. Their first 2 or 3 years in the league, they're getting acclimated to NBA ball. They're developing. In most cases, they're drafted to a team that has been losing for years, so it takes that team a long time to build a championship contender around their superstar level player. All the while, he is developing into a superstar. Once they get there, most superstars, they got 7-8 years of prime basketball in them before they begin to decline, assuming that they don't get injured along the way. And that's where we are right now with Giannis, the prime of his career. He's 26 years old. His title window is open for the next 5, 7, 8 years. The Milwaukee Bucks have been disappointed in the playoffs the last 2 years. Lost in the Eastern Conference Finals back in 2019 and had an early playoff exit last year when they lost to the Heat in the second round. With 2 disappointing playoff losses in back-to-back seasons, I thought Giannis was gone. I figured we were about to see the typical NBA superstar exit. He says all offseason that he is staying with Milwaukee. It's all sunshine and lollipops between him and the franchise publicly. Then, the closer we get to the trade deadline, he demands a trade, things get ugly, and Giannis is on the first flight to Dallas or Miami, Philadelphia, one of the major markets in the NBA. But that's not the case. That is not the case for now. Now, I'm sure you guys know by now, 10 days ago, Giannis signed an extension with the Bucks that will keep him in Milwaukee for the next 5 years. Supposedly. The next 5 years. Supposedly. Now, I'm sure fans in Milwaukee breathed a sigh of relief when they heard this news. Giannis is here to stay. We are guaranteed to be contenders for the next 5 years. And maybe that's true. Maybe that'll be the case. Maybe it will work out that way. Let me just get to the positives before I rain on the parade of fans of the Milwaukee Bucks. For now, this is not only great news for the Bucks, but it's great news for the NBA. When Adam Silver designed the Supermax extension, this is how he envisioned it working out. For years, for decades, small market teams in the NBA have been at a severe disadvantage. They draft a guy like Giannis. He develops into an MVP. Small market team is making the playoffs every year. They're not winning titles. Then we get to the end of that superstar player's second contract. He bolts to a big market team, and the small market team drops right back into the draft lottery. Now, I'll admit, Giannis could be different. He could be different. He has stated multiple times that he is loyal to the Bucks because they took a chance on him. I mean, he had very limited experience coming out of Greece when he was drafted. Milwaukee gave him his first NBA opportunity, and he's loyal to them because of that. Now, Giannis also says that he is a low-key guy. He likes to keep a low profile. He doesn't like the big cities, doesn't like the flashy lifestyle of big city life. He prefers to live in a small town, small market team. And he doesn't know if he would be the player he is now in a big market because he wouldn't be comfortable. Now, that's all well and good, but things change. Loyalties change over time. He may not be feeling the immense pressure to win a title right now, but that is going to change for Giannis. Right now, he's still young. But what happens 4 years from now when he's 30 years old and he still hasn't won a title? If he hasn't won a title by the time he's 30, it will be all the media is talking about. It will be a topic all year during the NBA season. Is this the year Giannis will finally win a title? Every time I talk about this topic on the channel, people think that I'm hating on the Bucks in the city of Milwaukee. But that is not the case. I'm just being brutally honest with you about Milwaukee. The fact of the matter is, you cannot recruit superstars to Milwaukee. You can't convince a guy like Anthony Davis to join Giannis in Milwaukee. I've mentioned this before. LeBron James, he had the same problem when he was in Cleveland, both times. That's one of the reasons he left after he won a title with the Cavs. He couldn't get guys to come there and play with him. Milwaukee has to trade to bring in other players. They brought in Drew Holiday over the offseason. Now look, I like Drew Holiday, one of the best two-way guards in the NBA. Great guy, on and off the court. He was loved in the city of New Orleans. We hated to see him go. But Drew Holiday is not enough to get Giannis and the Bucks over their playoff hump. He isn't on the same level as the elite players that I've been talking about. Guys like Kawhi Leonard, Luka, Joel Embiid, LeBron, Anthony Davis. You get the point. Those guys, they're not coming to Milwaukee. And Drew Holiday isn't even guaranteed to stay in Milwaukee after this season. He's got a player option for 2021, next year. So he could essentially be a one-year rental for the Bucks. If he does opt out of his contract, then what? Where do the Bucks go from there? What do they do? Theoretically, Giannis is locked into Milwaukee for a minimum of the next 5 years. Theoretically. Now, he has a player option for the 6th year of his contract extension, and the contract actually doesn't go into effect until next season. So, theoretically, the Bucks have him for 5 years. But that's just theoretically speaking. That's speaking in a world where the Supermax extension for superstar players works like it was designed to work. But this is the NBA. This isn't the NFL. In the NBA, contracts benefit the players only. They hardly benefit the teams. From Giannis's perspective, signing this Supermax extension is a win-win. He becomes the highest paid player in the history of the NBA until, the next superstar comes along for an extension and signs for more money. But right now, Giannis is the highest paid player in the league. He's also protected. NBA contracts are guaranteed for the player. So if, God forbid, Giannis were to tear an Achilles and he's never the player that he was before the injury, he is still guaranteed to receive every penny on his deal. So the Supermax is highly beneficial from the player's perspective. It also shows them that the franchise is loyal to him. But that loyalty isn't always reciprocated. Actually, in the majority of cases, the loyalty isn't reciprocated at all. Anthony Davis, Paul George, Kyrie Irving. You know what all of those guys have in common? They forced their way out of their respective teams in the middle of their contracts. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, John Wall. Know what those three have in common? All three signed the Supermax extension, and none of them will finish that contract with their team. Russell Westbrook forced his way out of Oklahoma City. John Wall traded to Houston. And James Harden is in the middle of trying to get the hell out of Houston right now. So Giannis' Supermax extension means nothing if at some point he decides that he wants out of Milwaukee. And I sincerely believe that he will eventually want out. Now, I've seen some compare Giannis to Steph Curry. Steph Curry is loyal to Golden State. He wants to end his career there, probably will. But there is a huge difference between Giannis and Steph Curry. For one, Steph Curry's already established. He's already a legend. He has already cemented his legacy. He has multiple titles. Giannis doesn't have any of that. And two, they don't have problems recruiting other star players to the Bay Area. Hell, they got Kevin Durant there. Name the last player of KD's caliber that willingly signed with the Bucks in free agency. Before Giannis, the last major superstar they had in Milwaukee was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he forced his way to Los Angeles. Giannis agreeing to stay in Milwaukee for the time being, it's a feel-good story. I get it. And like I said, it's great for the NBA and small market teams. But don't expect this feel-good story to have a happy ending. The pressure on Giannis to win a title is going to get stronger and stronger as the years go by. And it won't be coming from the local media in Milwaukee. They'll treat Giannis as a king as long as he's there. But nationally, the pressure is going to rise. I don't feel like the Bucks are going to be able to build a contender around Giannis. For the reason that I just mentioned. The majority of superstar players in the NBA, they don't want to live and play in Milwaukee. And as that pressure to win a title builds, and as Giannis gets older, gets closer to the end of his prime, time is going to start running out. In my opinion, at that time, he is going to want to move to a contender to win a title before his career ends. Now, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Only time will tell. But looking at the history of the NBA and its superstar players, we have seen it play out like this time after time after time. Legacy, when we're talking about superstar players in the NBA, legacy is important to these guys. And winning titles is critical to establishing their legacy. That's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Do you believe Giannis will stay in Milwaukee long term? Like end his career with the Bucks? Or do you think he will eventually chase a title elsewhere? Am I wrong about the Bucks? I mean, can they recruit superstar free agents to Milwaukee to play alongside Giannis? Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.